Welcome to the We Chat Tech podcast. I am your host, Vytas Jelinskas, and my co-host, Ben Whitmarsh. We are joined today by a very special guest. His name is Fernando Villalba. Fernando has over a decade of IT experience. He started in IT support, veered to become a sysadmin, and later moved into DevOps. He's been a consultant for various multi-billion-dollar organizations, helping them achieve highest potential with their DevOps processes. And Fernando is our DevEx Ambassador here at DevOps Society. Fernando, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Nice to see you again.
Again.
Time.
Yeah. For those that aren't part of our meetup community or don't come regularly, Fernando's one of our regular visitors and enjoys the pizzas.
Yes.
And burgers.
Yes. After last time. Took all 4 or 5 burgers, Fernando, last time?
Well, don't get too excited. There was 2, yeah? Not 4.
Fair enough.
Do you know what's funny? It's because I was talking to someone. Fernando came over and he was like, "These burgers are amazing," and he had 2 in his hands already, and he was like, "I'm going for more." And I was like,
it was definitely better than the usual meetup food. I think. Well, it was different too because usually you get pizza and oftentimes it's Papa John's or whatever, which is not obviously not the best pizza. So it was nice.
Yeah,
that was nice.
I had to offer Fernando to buy somebody a pizza afterwards because the burger had all gone. The burgers were all gone. So they were like, "Oh, I've come to meet up and there's no food left." I said, "Blame him, Fernando. Blame the tour guide."
You know, if it hadn't been me, it would have been someone else. You know.
Yeah, it was true.
Good point.
I think by the time that she got there, I think it was already too late.
It was you and Ryota quickly run for the burgers.
Yes, Ryota had 2 burgers as well. I mean, he needs it more than me though. He's skinny. I'm not. I need fewer burgers. He needs more burgers.
And he was speaking as well, so I guess the fuel helped with that.
Exactly. He needed all the energy.
There you go. Good stuff. Look, let's get into it. So, Fernando, just run us through what you was doing before technology, firstly.
So I got to London over a decade ago. And when I came here first, I don't have a tech degree. I don't have a university degree that has anything to do with tech. In fact, I don't have a university degree at all. So I felt that was a handicap for me in order to get proper jobs. And well, at the time, I probably didn't know it, but it was more like a psychological handicap than anything else. And so when I applied for jobs, I applied to the lowest of the lowest possible jobs, the only ones that I thought that they would accept me. So I ended up working on a lot of coffee shop, barista, like restaurant kind of thing. And I was absolutely terrible at that, I should add, because I'm just not built for that kind of thing. I have enormous respect for people who wait tables and do it all day. It's so much work. And it's also not a lot of money. And, you have to be there all day standing up. And if you work at a fancy restaurant, which I did in a couple of them, I think there's so much attention to detail that you need to have all day is really stressful. And it was funny because I got fired from one of them. And it was totally deserved, like me getting fired from the restaurant because I was terrible at it. And then later on, I found out about this. I found out about this course that it was also run by an agency as well. So basically, they were selling these courses and these things where they guarantee you a job in IT after you pass it. You paid like £4,500 or something, or £5,000, and then you go to their classes, you do a few certifications, and then they put you in an unpaid internship, and you have a bit of experience on your CV, and then you can go and work. I feel like that was good in order for me to build the confidence, because I thought, well, they're definitely going to get me the job, so I'm giving them the money. But then when I look back into it, I felt like I totally could have studied for these certifications myself because I was already good with computers, and I could have just gone and applied for unpaid internships without having to pay for this course. But I think one theme that comes over again and again in my in my life, and I think in a lot of people's lives, is that there's always a psychological barrier to anything that you want to do. So you may have a dream, or you may feel like you're good at something, but you have these barriers in your mind that tell you, no, you shouldn't do it because you don't have this. You shouldn't do it because you don't have that. If you go there, they're not going to like you. It's like we are pretty good at making conclusions based on incomplete data. And usually we make the most negative conclusions. And I think I've been a victim of that. And I think that, right now I have a good job, it's pretty good. But maybe in the future it will be the same. Like I will go and start doing something, and then I'll be like, man, what the hell was I thinking all my life? I could have done this the entire time. Like I had the talent to do this, which leads me to a much better life, and instead I was doing that. So there's always that thing. So that's my trajectory right there. And then so what was the question? I forgot. What was the original question? I started rambling. What was the original question?
What was you doing before tech?
Oh yeah, that's what I was doing before tech. Sorry.
Every other year.
There you go. So following on from that, Fernando, then why did you get into technology?
I got into technology because I had a natural affinity towards it. When I was a kid, I was always playing around with computers, and I was pretty good at it. So to me, it seemed like a natural progression in career. It seems like a job where I can make good money while doing something that I mostly like. It's funny. It would be a bit of a stretch for me to say that if I had like a open choice to anything in the world, that this would be the first choice, because there are probably like so many things that would be better to do, but obviously you're not going to have access to them. But I think this was like probably like the easiest thing that I had the talent for and that I went for. So.
No, fair play. And in terms of obviously what you specialize in, Fernando, what areas do you actually work within day to day?
So my area is sort of like DevOps. I went from IT support to sysadmin. That was another break in my career. Also, again, like the psychological barrier that I was telling you, I was doing IT support with Windows, which I didn't like very much. And then I quit for 6 months, and I said, well, you know what? I need to get a job like doing sysadmin. I want to work more with Linux. And it took me 6 months to find that job. And then I moved and transitioned into sysadmin, and then I started doing DevOps because I saw like the culture like kind of aligned with the way that I was thinking. And right now, recently I joined this company called Civo, which I really enjoy working on. And I lead a team that is in charge of making sure that the developer experience and the user experience of the platform is really good. So my job right now is leading a team and trying to find things that are wrong or that could be better with the platform and move all the pieces around to make sure that we get them fixed and we get them to a better place. So right now is more of a lead/engineer position that I'm doing.
So with that, Fernando, with the platform side of things, so you're very vocal with the cloud aspect of things, as we know. So from your sort of perspectives, what's your sort of favorite cloud platform and why? Why do you prefer them?
Right now is Civo, right? Because I work there, so it has to be Civo.
Quick question.
That's my cloud right there. No, but out of the three big cloud providers, my favorite would be GCP because, well, I'm not a huge fan of Microsoft and the way they do things, so I didn't even bother with using much of Azure, even though I use Azure DevOps a bit, and it was pretty good. It wasn't too bad, but I don't have much of an interest in using Azure. I used GCP and AWS, and I much prefer GCP simply because the user experience is far superior, in my opinion. It's much easier to use and it's better designed in that sense. Now, there will be people here that listen to this and be like, no, but AWS lets you do more and this and that. It's like, sure. But, in terms of usability, I feel like GCP is better. And if you look at rules of user experience or guidelines of user experience of what makes a product usable, I think GCP does a much better job than AWS does. So that's my...
So Fernando, with that as well, just what, out of interest, what are, because obviously you're doing that user experience, that DevEx side of things on the platform. What is Civo doing that are sort of, I don't know, what you're trying to make better than than AWS or than the other three big cloud providers? What's differentiating them?
Well, Civo is still a very, very tiny cloud, right?
Yeah.
So we have an advantage in the sense that we don't have a lot of products. So when you don't have a lot of products or a lot of features, you can actually deliver a better, it's easier to deliver a better user experience. It's easier to make things easier for the end user. So the two things that Civo has an advantage on right now is one of them is ease of use, and the other one is like we're trying to be very transparent when it comes to costs. So, for example, if I use their provisions instance or any type of resource, and on the UI says, okay, this is going to be $15 a month, it will always be $15 a month. You don't get any egress charges or any surprise charges or anything like that. So in that sense, that aligns with my values. But yeah, we're still small. Let's see where we go from there, so.
Do you think the future of like tech is fully in public cloud, or do you think that the on-premise stuff is still very important? Because I know Civo have like an on-premise data center sort of platform coming out, or has come out recently.
And that's also another part of our business model as well. We're trying to provide businesses with a sort of private cloud with our tech stack, so it's easier for them to provision resources and without them having to do everything from scratch. So that is one way to provide control to companies that want to have that, and also have like a cloud for them that is easy to use, essentially.
So a hybrid cloud setup could work then, do you think?
Yeah, like if you want to set up your own, private cloud, I mean, you would probably need to do a lot of things in terms of like the software that runs on top to manage your cloud. I mean, we can help with that. That's what we do. So, instead of using other stacks like VMware or whatever, you will be using ours. So.
Fair play. And what are your like biggest gripes when it comes to tech, Fernando? What are your biggest things that annoy you the most, apart from Azure? What other stuff do you not like?
Azure doesn't annoy me because I don't use it. So it's fine. I mean, I recently I set up a Windows. Recently I set up a Windows. Your storage is running low. So recently I set up a Windows laptop from scratch. It's a gaming laptop that I have, and I was very, very frustrated with the entire setup process because it is a software that you pay for. I mean, Windows is not a free operating system, and I'm being forced to create an online account to set it up, and a lot of things that Microsoft does in order to collect your data when you're setting it up is just very irritating. So that irritated me. I mean, there's so many things that kind of irritate me about technology. I don't want to sound too much of a complainer. For example, when it comes to working, I don't like how sometimes people just follow blindly practices that they feel that they work because at some point some management consultancy said that this was like the way of doing things, but they don't work so well. I believe that Scrum is the most popular way of organizing teams, and I don't believe that Scrum is the most efficient way of organizing teams. I feel like there are other ways of doing Agile that are more effective for most teams. Maybe for some teams, Scrum is useful, but not for everyone. So that's one thing that annoys me. It's kind of a broad question, actually.
It is. It was meant to be. It was meant to be.
I mean, because I could go on, and I don't want to stop.
Fernando thinking all negatively now. He's all like,
and everyone.
he's gonna cry in the corner.
I just hate everything by default. Sometimes I like stuff, but by default I hate everyone and everything,
So obviously everyone knows you, Fernando, and knows how much you value developer experience in DevEx. Why is that so important for you and for platforms?
I'll be honest with you. I feel like recently I'm a little tired of the entire topic of developer experience and platform engineering, mostly because everything that I see online, people talking about it, is always repeating the same stuff over and over and over and over again, rehashed. And I mean, there's not particularly like a lot of amazing solutions for it. It's just like people evangelizing left and right and talking about it. And then there's quite a lot of agenda behind a lot of these companies talking about this. Obviously, they want to sell you a product, or they want to sell you like some consulting stuff. So, they release these papers, they release these things like, oh, this is amazing, whatever. So it is a little tiring, like the topic. But within the space of developer experience, one thing that I'm reasonably passionate about is flow state. I feel like this is the thing that I feel like developer experience should focus on the most. I feel like companies should learn to appreciate the value of protecting the flow state of engineers and creating the right conditions for engineers to get into the flow as easy as possible. I feel if a company does that, if a company knows how to do this, the developer experience of engineers is going to be much better, much, much better. And companies do a lot of things to hurt that flow state. I mean, in terms of like, they have bad vision and values, or they have too many interruptions. They organize teams in a way that is not conducive to them doing the best work, or they don't have good internal tooling. They have too many stupid processes that people have to follow, or they cannot find what they need to do on the company. All of these things I feel hurt flow state. And I feel like a lot of these people that talk about developer experience, they also talk about these things. But I feel like hinging the whole thing on flow state is the way forward. I mean, that's my personal opinion of it.
For people who don't know,
I'm actually giving a talk about it on Civo Navigate. That's
in Berlin next week.
Yeah. Yes. So see, is Civo is a developer experience in flow state. Maybe I should just start talking about flow state and forget about developer experience.
What is flow state?
It's like the thing with developer experience as well is that everyone has a different definition of it. It's like you have developer experience is user experience for developers. Oh no, developer experience is about how developers feel. Oh no, it's about removing friction. It's like everyone is right to a certain extent, but everyone has a different definition of it. I even have my own definition because I feel like flow state is the crux here, but there's not an authoritative definition of it. So
fantastic. Well, what is flow state, Fernando, for those who don't know?
Flow state is it's also known as being in the zone. Like whenever you're doing something and you get lost in time doing your task because everything starts falling into place. So whenever you work in a company and you can mostly focus on the task that you're doing without having any strenuous cognitive load or having any other things that you have to worry about or being interrupted or whatever, and you can focus on the task, that's the easiest way for you to get into the flow. So it's like, I'm sure you've had that at some point. Everyone had like flow state at some point, but some careers require it more than others. So you as a recruiter, you probably don't need to be in the flow, like, because you're talking to people. I mean, you could consider like something's being in a good conversation. You're kind of like in the flow of things, maybe like we are now to a certain extent. But usually I think managers and people who work with recruitment or marketing or things like this, I think flow state is not as necessary as it is for engineers, because engineers, they really need like multiple hours of focus time. They need to be there and working on the task, And sometimes managers don't get that. Sometimes there's managers of technical people, and they start peppering the day with meetings. They start interrupting them all the time. They just don't get that this is the way that engineers work. So yeah, that's. I hope that answer your question in a very roundabout way.
Yes. Thank you.
Good stuff. So Fernando, I mean, for those that obviously don't know, Fernando was he was actually in our first ever meetup. He was a speaker there. Did a really good talk at Broadcom, and just run us through your sort of journey with us at the DevOps Society. Like, yeah, I mean, you've been a part of it now for, God, like 8 months or so.
It was amazing, very life-changing experience. I mean, I just came along for some free pizza, and then you roped me in to do talks and also all kinds of things. I just don't know how you managed to.
You're saying food is the thing that can just attract you.
Exactly. I'm just there for food. It's like, as long as there's food, I'm there. You can tell me the talk is about anything. It's like, I'll be there. And then you said, do a talk. Okay, fine, I'll do the talk. That's see, I think that comes with being a Mediterranean. We like food a bit too much. So that's how you get to our soul. But no, I mean, in truth be told, I think I knew Ben before, and Ben is well, and you as well, Vytas. I mean, I think both of you are a couple of the few nice recruiters that I came across. I feel like there's you and maybe another recruitment agency, but most recruiters that I talk to most recruiters that most engineers talk to are not like the most trustworthy or likable people for us, but you guys are good. And then Ben came to me and explained to me what you wanted to do, and I was happy to be part of it and help out. I'm still not sure how useful I am to you, but I try to help as much as I can.
You're very useful.
Thanks.
But look, you've been to a lot of meetups. You're very you've got a big presence in the space. So what makes a good meetup for yourself? What's the few things that would you say is important apart from food?
For you to say that I have a big presence in this space, that's a bit stretching it. I don't think I have that big of a presence, but yeah, I've been to a few meetups, and I think for me the most important thing on a meetup is the atmosphere and the people that go to some meetups. There are some meetups that you go to and you're like, man, I don't feel like hanging out with anyone here. It's like, it's just like everyone is good people there, but you're like, it's just boring being here. But then there are other meetups where you go and you're like, wow, there's like very good atmosphere here, very good people come to this meetup. And honestly, I don't even know what. I think part of it is the topic maybe, and another part is also who organizes it, attracts different types of people. So yeah, that for me would be the most important bit because after all, it's called a meetup. People go to meetups for the talks, but then it's not so much of a meetup because you're not meeting anything. You're just listening to talks. That's something you can do on YouTube or whatever. So for me, the people are the most important thing. The talks, sometimes they're good. But most of the time, I think like people in tech are not the most compelling speakers. So some of the talks in every meetup, some of the talks are a little boring. But maybe I'm just saying that because I have a very short attention span, and then some of the topics I feel like, oh my God, I listened to these like 10 times already before. So it's it really depends on the speaker, and I suppose it is hard to find speakers that like have that presence, that are compelling and entertaining whenever they're saying something. So
yeah, I think personally, on the networking side, I feel like when there's like new people that come to meetups, and like it's not sort of always the same people, because we do have like a few that sort of come on a more regular basis, but majority of the time it's a lot of new faces and a lot of new sort of experiences, and it's that meeting sort of different people and sort of sharing, and I feel like it's good. I feel like it's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I mean, for many people, meetups are the only way to see anyone, really, because now we all work remotely. So meetups have become the only way for us to interact with anyone. And since people in London don't really hang out with you outside of working environment, this is pretty much the only way to hang out with anyone in London. So yeah, meetups are important in London, especially.
I think getting out of the house as well, away from home situations, can be quite nice as well for a lot of people. So I think that's obviously a nice thing as well, to get away from girlfriend, parents, whoever you live with. Just have a bit of a break from everyone. Not saying for me, by the way.
I was going to say that you're putting yourself in a
I
hole.
know I'm digging myself on like this at the moment. I better
Yeah.
move on before I get in trouble.
Wow.
I mean, it's I think everyone who is in a relationship and stays with the same person 24 hours a day, you naturally just feel a bit repelled by them after a while. It's not like you don't love them, but it's just like, man, it's all the time together.
Give me a break.
It's not even, it's just human nature is what it is.
We might have to call this relationship advice podcast.
Or therapy.
There you go.
Three Musketeers.
Let's transition into it. Actually, you can split this podcast in two if you want, and then do
The 2 in 1, yeah.
You can branch out. Maybe you can start doing like a psychology for engineers or something, or psychology, and then that could be your side business. They call you and you listen to the life problems.
I think that's half of our job normally, anyway, Fernando. To be honest,
Yes.
can't lie.
Yes.
I think that's what
but you
makes,
can charge for it.
yeah, that's what makes jobs so fun. I think hearing everyone's own, not problems, but their own life journey.
Well, I think the good thing about you guys is that it feels like you genuinely care too about people. I mean, it's not like there are other recruiters. It's like they're just only listen to you while they have a job and they want to put you in a job, or they want to.
I think it's because so many agencies actually, they demand you to have a certain amount of billings every month. So you have to sell people. That's the ultimate goal. So I think obviously when we used to work in a corporate, we had a target on our back. You had to, do 250k a year, for example. If you don't hit 250 a year, you're going to be on a performance plan.
So Fernando, if you watched my last video that I did, it's on YouTube, by the way, little short, and basically it's the recruiters are like the ones that are money driven recruiters are the ones that only think about short term, and they don't really care about how the engineers are feeling, or they don't really care. They just want to just place you, and that's it.
I think it ends up working against them too, because
long term,
yeah, exactly.
100%. It's a weird world in our world, but there we are. It's all fun and games, I suppose. But yeah, meeting people like you, Fernando, and obviously Vahid and Steve and Dhruv and everyone else you've got like in the community, it's a lot more fun than doing recruitment, I can assure you. So
yes,
it's more fun. But in terms of the tech world, you've been in now for 10-ish years, Fernando. What is your most proud achievement, do you think?
Well, I think my proudest achievement is to advance my career from a barista into where I am now without having a degree, and always like learning and moving forward. I don't have a particularly grand achievement that I'm proud of. I mean, almost every company that I worked at, there was like one highlight that I'd say, okay, that was awesome. I left everything in a better place than when I started. But yeah, I suppose like that my biggest achievement would be to be where I am now, working in a company that I really enjoy, where I can make a difference, and whenever your voice is heard, and
So with that, Fernando, obviously you didn't take like the conventional route, like you said earlier. Like you you sort of took the experience route than the sort of qualification and like getting any certifications and that side of things. So from your perspective then, do you think certifications are overrated from your perspective, and why?
They are, and you can probably answer that as well. I mean, you're a recruiter. I mean, if I came to you with no experience and 20 certifications, would you be able to place me, I don't know, in Morgan Stanley or somewhere like that? Probably not, I guess. I think definitely university degrees are a lot more highly valued than certifications, and I think with good reason, because it's a lot harder to fake your way through a university degree, especially from a higher university, than it is through certifications. And I'm not suggesting that people with certifications fake it, but certifications are just like multiple choice, and I think companies that issue them are incentivized to pass as many people as possible because they want to have like they want to have like employees that are certified. I think they're useful if you work in a consultancy, because the consultancy can then sell you out to a client. It's like, look, this guy was so certified, he's amazing. It's like, which doesn't necessarily mean that you're amazing. It means that you did quite a lot of certifications, and probably means that you actually work hard for it, which is good. But yeah, no, there are plenty of people that don't have any certifications that are very good at jobs. I probably would never do another certification again unless I absolutely have to. There was 1 year that I worked in a consultancy in Contino, and the thing that I love the most about that company is they have amazing training budget. It was £5,000 a year, which was really good, and it was almost no questions asked. Like, you could pretty much get anything, audiobooks, even career coaching, whatever. It was so good. Perhaps one of the best, perhaps like second or third best company benefit that I ever had. I think probably the best one is now that I work in Civo and I have 4-day weeks. That is probably the best benefit, but that one was really good as well. And yeah, so I saw that a lot of people were getting certifications, so I got competitive. I was like, no, I want to get some certifications too. So the first year I was there, I got, I think it was like 16 certifications in 1 year, which was like, I think it was like one record there, like in terms of like number of certifications in 1 year. Or I think I must have been like the number one or number two or number three, like of people that got the most certifications in 1 year. But yeah, I don't consider, I mean, I learned quite a few things while doing them, but I don't consider myself like, I feel like there would probably be better ways of learning and becoming a better engineer than just doing certifications. Like if I was doing a project or doing something, it'd probably be a better experience.
So we had Steve yesterday, and he was saying the same thing. He was saying like that for certifications, it's very much just learning it, but you actually haven't got the experience. All it means is you know how to learn information. Doesn't mean you actually know
That's
how
true. And I'd say one good thing about certifications, especially when you do like the GCP certification or whatever, it gives you an excuse to look at a wide range of products that the cloud provider uses, and it's like, oh, they have this, oh, let me learn about this, and they have that, and they have that. So it gives you, it's good to learn an overview of tools, of stuff that happens in that cloud, but not particularly good at demonstrating that you're an amazing engineer. I'd say that perhaps also if you're starting up and that you want to get an internship, maybe unpaid or lowly paid internship, and you don't have anything in your curriculum, maybe certifications are somewhat useful. I don't know if you ever place internships or whatever. I don't know how that works now, but I know how it worked at the beginning of my career. But mind you, like the internships that I was having at that time, it wasn't for DevOps, it was something else, so it may be different. It was like it was doing IT support, and IT support is much easier to do. I mean, it requires a lot less experience.
Yeah. So from yourself then, Fernando, then like even like what you just mentioned now, like if you threw it back 10 years now, right, and you was a junior engineer, what resources would you use? Like what sort of skills would you learn? Like what do you think is valuable right now?
There are so many resources right now to learn, And I think the challenge right now is not having enough resources, is the fact that we have too many resources and it's very hard to concentrate in either one of them. It's like, oh, I should learn programming. Oh, maybe I should do lead code. Oh, but there's HackerRank. Oh, but there's thing. And then there's these tutorials. Maybe I'll read this book. Maybe I will do that. It's like the anxiety is real, man. The anxiety is real. I feel like if you can find a way to get passionate about doing a project or something or help someone to do something, that is much better way of learning than doing a book or challenges or whatever, because that can get really boring. It can get really boring, and it is a way of learning, especially getting started, but it's not always that practical, right? So I would suggest get involved, help someone, have a project. That's probably the best way to learn. Yeah, sure, do some tutorials. I mean, there's some tutorials that are better than others, but try not to get too caught up in them, because it's funny. There are always people saying that, yeah, you do a tutorial, you feel like you learned something, and then you're actually going to go and do something, and then you realize that you don't know anything.
Do you feel like on the practical side, Fernando, like when you're saying, getting yourself out there and trying things, do you think it's like having a good like mentor or someone that you can look up to in a position you're in, or just, it doesn't even have to be in a position, but just in a, just like you said, supporting on a project, is the fact that if you don't know how to fix something, that's where you can get that support, and they'll tell you this is how you can do it, and there's these ways to do it.
I think mentors are good, but I think it's also maybe a little overrated. I think I feel like perhaps like agency is underrated. For example, when I did my first job, my first sysadmin job, it was a pretty crazy situation because I was the sysadmin of an entire company and I had never been a sysadmin before. My experience with Linux was just anecdotal, so to speak, like me using it at home. My bash scripting was pretty much non-existent. I just didn't know much, really. And I remember joining that company, and this guy was leaving. He was leaving back to his country. And I remember looking at him, typing commands furiously and doing all of this and thinking, wow, he's so good. I will never be able to do any of this. But then it turns out I started doing his job, and not only I was able to do his job, I actually did it better than him. I learned so much doing it all on my own, because it was pretty much like I was thrown into the sea and I had to learn how to swim by myself. And if there's one thing that I've always had, is agency when I'm in a situation where I need to have it. Like if I'm at home and someone tells me, oh, you need to go ahead and learn X and X, and it's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do it sometime. But like if you throw me in a situation, it's like, if you don't learn this, everything is gonna be on fire. Like I will just get right into it and learn it and do it, and I've thought that was like a really amazing experience. That's probably one of the best experiences in my career. It was the first one, but it was one of the best. I learned so much in that company, coming through all these situations, and I had no one to mentor me. Would I have done better if I had someone mentoring me there? Maybe I would have learned a few things better. But then the interesting thing about it is that I ended up reaching conclusions that ended up being like sort of best practice. Because someone, like I may come to you and say, oh, do this because it's best practice. And you're like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. But you don't understand the context because you have never gone through it. But for me, it's like I have all that context. And then I actually, when I start reading, it's like, oh, yeah, you do this in this way because of all these problems that I face. And then I start realizing, well, it's funny because I had already come to this conclusion myself, even though I had seen other people doing differently. And then it's like, yes, I was right about the way I was thinking. So I think agency is underrated, but it's also an extremely difficult thing to teach. I feel like I've dealt with people in my life before. There's like, oh, I joined this company, they didn't teach me anything. I didn't have coaching. And he's like, well, sure, you didn't have coaching, they didn't teach you stuff. It's important that you have that to a certain extent, but then you also need to have that agency, because you're not always going to have people spoon feeding you like the answers, right? So, yeah.
Ben, we found his proudest achievement. There we go.
There we are then.
Took some...
Oh yeah, there you go. Maybe you can edit it. You know, like, cut and then. Like...
Haven't asked you a question I wanted to ask you earlier on in the podcast. What are your thoughts around AI and its involvement in the future of tech in general?
Well, I think it's overhyped. And I've been saying this from the very first moment that I saw ChatGPT. You will have all these people coming out and saying, my God, it's sentient. Just like next year, it's going to take all of our jobs. It's going to think just like us. Then you have like Elon Musk saying the stupidest things. It's like everyone says like he's a genius, and I'm sure he is in his own way. Obviously, he's very rich. He's richer than us, so he's smart in some way. But the things that he says sometimes are so stupid. He was saying in a clip, when do you think that AI is going to be writing books like J.K. Rowling? And then he starts thinking, he's like, around 3 years. It's like, there's absolutely no way that AI is going to be able to write any books at any level, any short of like J.K. Rowling or any author that has lived a full life of experiences and has digested all that information and have those real experiences. AI is a really good tool. Don't get me wrong. I love it as I like to say is a nice dynamic template generator. So for example, if you want to write an email and you're blocked, you go in there, write me an email for this. And then you look at the template and you're like, okay, this is good. It's a good start. And same with code and same with a lot of things. It's a really good tool. It's really helpful. But from there to, in 2 years, it's going to take over everything. It's going to no. It's like, first of all, we don't understand how the human brain works. We don't even understand how a cat brain works. We can't make a computer that's as smart as a cat right now. And I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Like a cat does things that a computer wouldn't be able to do. Sure, we can train computers to do certain very specific things, but from there to just having like any sort of intelligence, we don't even understand it. How are you going to do it? We understand certain things, how they work, and we are mimicking that very well. But yeah, AI is good for what it is. It's good for certain things. It's good for identifying images, to LLMs, to what I just told you, but we have to understand it for what it is. And we also have to understand what the dangers are as well, especially accepting the output that an AI gives you without question and forcing employees to follow it without any criteria. That to me is crazy. And it's happening a lot in many places right now, like banks or whatever,
I've been told. Do you think it's dangerous, Fernando, if we don't use it correctly and safely?
Yeah, but the danger of AI is us being stupid about it. I've seen lots of examples, and this happened to me as well. I remember at one point I was buying some books in Audible, with the training budget that I told you earlier in this conversation. And I was buying the books in a way that Audible thought I was doing fraud. I was just adding too many books to the cart. And he kept flagging me, you're doing fraud, and canceling my account and disabling my account and everything. And I kept telling him, look, this is me. This is the way I'm doing things. If you want me to do things in a different way, tell me how I should do them, or what, or if you don't allow people to buy books in this way, why don't you just disallow it altogether? It's like, no, we're going to do this. Maybe just try this. Maybe just try that. They didn't even know what to do. It's like, and it happens a lot with banks as well. Sometimes an AI would flag an account because it thinks that is doing something that is fraud, and the bank will absolutely refuse to just enable it for you, or saying no, we closed it. There's nothing we can do. It's like, yeah, this is the AI that we have. We cannot change it, and we cannot tell you why, because if we tell you why, then other fraudsters will learn, and it's really ridiculous where we are. And it happens also with healthcare as well. It's being applied to healthcare. It's being applied to credit scores as well. Like, it's good. I think maybe 80% of the time, or 90% of the time, or even 95% of the time is right. But then there's that 5% of the time where we need to be sensible. So,
no, I couldn't agree more. We use it a little bit on the recruitment side, more for like writing job specs and stuff, obviously just to give us templates because it's a lot quicker. That's the only good thing from my perspective. But Vytas, what else do you use it for, AI? It's out of interest.
Do you know, I don't actually use it. I really don't. I'm old school. I like to do it myself. I feel like it is. I feel like I agree with what you said. I feel like you should use it if you can to assist you in your job, but you shouldn't like take your tasks away from it completely. You shouldn't rely on it. You shouldn't say, "All right, do this for me," and that's it. Like I don't think that's right. I feel like if you need support in doing something because you're doing 20 things at once, then fair enough, right? You get like a little format, or like you said earlier, like a little email like format, and then you do it to how you need it. That's fair enough, but I just don't feel like you should rely on it because, for instance, if you do and it gets taken away from you or like it's gone, then what's that? Then you just relying on a tool to do your job, and I don't know. I just feel like there should still be manual things. You should be doing it yourself.
yeah.
Use your head, like.
I mean, I use it a lot as well. I use it for many things, but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be sensible about it, and I can see so many hallucinations and some things that are just plain wrong. For other things, it's amazing. So I can see how some people think is like real intelligence, because some of the responses are pretty damn amazing. It's like, wow, it just said all of this. But ultimately, it's regurgitating other people's wisdom. So
Yeah.
I sort of feel though, like especially like I don't know, maybe like written stuff. I feel like I don't know, like we've been in the space for a long time, but I could tell if it's AI. I don't know about you, but like if it's like
yeah,
an email or a job, I can tell it's not like there's not that human element. Like it just feels like it's just not like right.
yeah. I sometimes when I post stuff on LinkedIn, occasionally I will get a comment response that feels like the guy or girl just went into ChatGPT and copy my post and be like, write me a response to this, because it just sounds a lot like ChatGPT wrote it. Yeah, totally.
I think I've had a few chats with like sort of CTOs, Fernando as well. A lot of the teams, like the junior guys in software engineering at the moment, they're trying to use it for code, and they can tell quite quickly if it's been done like that using AI, and it can actually sort of come across wrong as, especially as a junior as well, when you're trying to learn your trade as a coder. I think
Yeah,
doing it too early and too quickly is a bit of a hindrance to your ability.
I feel it's fine. I think it's fine that people use it, but you should get the code and then learn what it does and then improve it if you can. If you do that, if everyone did that, then that's amazing. I know that's not how it goes in practice. I know many people just copy paste, and then I go to the park. I think some people just don't care. It's how it is. So
100%. Do you have any questions for us, Fernando, at all?
yeah, how do you guys manage to be so cool all the time?
So cool.
Takes years of experience.
We use
That's
AI,
it.
Fernando, to give us tips on how to be cool.
Yeah, when I just wanna know how things are going with the DevOps Society. You guys are. Do you feel like you're reaching your milestones, like you're up and away to the sky? I think I've seen you around more. It's good. No.
Yeah, yeah. I mean we hit 2.5K
2.1, I think it was, this week.
across
Oh,
platforms.
yeah.
Across platforms, over 2.5. But I mean, to say we've hit that in the space of less than a year is pretty phenomenal. I think it's been quite a year. Like we've done some. I mean, we always do this. Like I feel like we're very much like in the moment people, and we don't reflect back enough and say, look, this is what we've done. And we did it a few weeks ago, and like you just have a little moment and you'd be like, you've actually like
loads.
You're doing things that are like, not per se changing people's lives, but it's giving people the opportunity to network and make friends and knowledge share, and there's a lot of good things happening. And I think even in we've got a very busy like next few months. There's a lot of meetups. We've got one in a couple of weeks in Birmingham, our first Birmingham event with version 1, which should be good. We've got like
how is it different doing it in London? Is the atmosphere any different?
Smaller than Birmingham.
It's a lot smaller, but it's very popular. It's been very good. So I mean, we've got like 2 spaces left, and the meetups in like 3 weeks.
Okay.
So we need a bigger venue. That's what we need.
Yeah, hard to find in Birmingham.
But at least it's local to us. We don't have to. So I think we told you the first meetup that we went to. We the first 2 before the suitcase broke. But Ben had this massive suitcase, and it was my idea. I don't know why we did this, but we decided to store all the water bottles, all the beers, all the Cokes in the suitcase, and then bring it with us on the train. Problem is, we didn't realize how heavy it was, and genuinely, it was about 100 kg.
More than that.
What was the suitcase brand, so I don't buy it?
The wheels broke off.
The wheels broke off, and we had to drag it without wheels.
What was the suitcase brand? I'm curious.
It was actually a good brand as well, but that shows how heavy it was. It literally snapped the wheels. The wheels, like, how do you explain it?
I feel like a really good suitcase. I mean, considering the prices that they charge for them, like sometimes it's ridiculous.
No,
I feel like they should be able to hold.
Genuinely,
you should never carry that much stuff in a suitcase.
You see the step on the train. We had to take it like up the train. It was like almost like a deadlift off the ground to get it up there. And honestly, like, it was a nightmare because we had to take it like on the tube as well. And when you go down the stairs, honestly, I was like dragging people, like getting angry at us, like to move out the way and stuff. Yeah. I'm like, I've got a 100 kg
suitcase as well. And Vytas, he broke it. He was carrying it, and I had to pay for a new one, and he refused to pay.
But why would you even do that? Why would you like carry everything from?
We didn't know the best way to approach it, because obviously
you know what it is. Yeah, I think it's a little bit what you said earlier, and it goes across the way, right? It's a bit of like trial and error, right? We tried it, and if we did it again, we would never do it again, and we haven't ever since
it broke.
But it's one of them things because it was the first one that we did, and we was like, we want it right, and just in case we can't get the amount of water or the amount of beers or whatever it is, we just put it all to try to be organized. And I mean, it went crazy.
So this is your founding story.
That was literally the founding story.
The first meetup, Vytas, the one that you spoke at, Fernando, we had to carry pizzas up to our nose, like from here up to my nose.
In the
pouring rain. Like, remember how bad it was that day? Do you remember?
Yeah.
It was awful.
Next time you can call me. I'll go downstairs and I'll start eating pizza, so you have less to carry.
Please do. Might be helpful, actually. Bloody hell.
Yeah, I mean, apart from that, I mean, we've got Birmingham one in 3 weeks. We've got 2 in Manchester. 2 in Manchester meetups.
Inclusivity one as well. Well, Women in Tech. Inclusivity one. That's October 17th.
Which one? Sorry?
It's an inclusivity one. So it's around like the future.
Inclusive and collaboration in the tech industry, and that's at Civo.
That's at Civo.
Awesome, man. I'm glad that you managed to make that connection there.
Yes. No, thanks for that as well, by the way. Thank you for that, because obviously getting a venue is not easy as well, as you know, in London. So they've been good. So that should be a good event. Lots going on. Obviously, podcasts coming out. Probably too much for our own good, Fernando, because our day job does suffer, as you can probably appreciate from it, timing-wise. But it's all worth it for us. You know, it's good fun.
We enjoy it.
It's good fun.
Well, hopefully get you attention from companies and candidates alike.
You know what? One thing it has done is given us, for example, like Auto Trader. Like we've got an event happening with them, and we both love cars. Vytas and I, as we probably told you before, and we get to have an event with like one of our favorite brands. So I think that's pretty cool as well. That's pretty cool.
Auto Trader, I don't know what that is.
Auto Trader?
I don't like cars. For me,
Oh
cars.
no, it's a car platform to sell basically.
Online marketplace, isn't it? Essentially for cars. It's the biggest one.
Well, I never had to buy a car, so I got my driver license kind of like pretty much forced into it, and then I barely ever used it. I have.
You actually have a license though, so if someone put you in the seat right now and said, "Drive,"
Yeah, I can drive. I mean, I drive like an old lady, very, very cautiously and very slowly, and like
this sounds like Ben. So
I don't take any risks. I don't meet many people that drive worse than me.
Don't go in his car,
yeah.
Don't go in his car.
Sorry?
Don't go in Vytas's car.
I usually what I do, I rent when I go traveling. Sometimes somewhere, Spain or whatever, I will rent a car. But I didn't wreck any cars that I rented, except that one of them I got all my stuff stolen in Sicily, but I didn't intentionally do that or by accident. This is the nature of the place, I guess.
Fair enough. Fernando, in terms of like your social media and your personal profile, how can our followers connect with you and follow your journey?
I am on both Twitter, X, and LinkedIn. Mostly I post on LinkedIn because in Twitter I have no audience whatsoever. And every time I try to post something, no one reads it, so I just gave up. And also you have to pay and stuff to post after a certain length, so it's kind of tedious. So I never really used it. I use Twitter. I mean, I use LinkedIn to talk to most people. And yeah, if anyone wants to talk to me in LinkedIn, I'll happily talk to them.
When's your next viral post going to go live then? 2 million views.
If I understood how viral posts work, I would do viral posts every day. But sometimes I write something and I feel, oh, this is really good, and no one cares. Sometimes I write something that takes me 2 minutes and I'm like, this is a dumb post. And it's like, everyone is like loving it and liking it. And so I don't understand social media. And frankly, I don't even like social media that much. I got into LinkedIn thing because of work. And then I kind of like went with it because I feel like it's a valuable tool for work, networking and all of that and getting jobs. But I'm not particularly that keen on the social media thing. And it makes me cringe a lot when whatever I read on there. And I try not to get too involved. So
fair enough. Vytas?
no, good stuff. Fernando, thank you for your time. And
It's been good.
see you at the next one.
Yes. Right.
Good stuff, Fernando.